And welcome to an Idaho Reports Web Extra. Joining me here on set today is, and starting down at the end, Dan Chadwick, Idaho Association of Counties, Monica Hopkins, ACLU, and Wayne Hoffman at the Idaho Freedom Foundation. Thank you all for being here today. We like to throw back kind of the curtain and show people kind of how things get done. How do you go about approaching your job and approaching folks and saying, well, these are issues we need to address?
Right. It's all based upon relationships, just what I was talking about. You create and maintain a good relationship, a very friendly relationship, a business-like relationship with legislators. You never write anybody off. You always talk to them. You always be willing to take it on the chin. It's okay to lose issues and then come back and talk with them again, because quite frankly, you're going to need someone in the future. And your integrity is everything in this job. I've been at this 24 years now as the director of the association. I worked for Attorney General Jim Jones, doing the same kind of work. And it's all based upon whether you can be trusted or not. And I wouldn't have survived in this job without that kind of a relationship building.
Monica, it seems nationally we're starting to see kind of a little bit of push where it's almost negative to be working with the other side of the aisle. And yet, from what I'm hearing from Dan, it seems like we need to have more of this collaboration. How do you see this?
Well, you know, you had asked Dan how he sees his job. I think that's a good place to start. I see my job and see more of what we need to do is look at it as creation of a Venn diagram. You know, where are the places in which we overlap? Where are the places we can agree? And how do we make good policy decisions by not losing our values, but by creating those relationships and not leaving the table when it gets hard to do those. And I think the really interesting thing, I've been at this just shorter than Dan,
pretty much all of us.
Yeah. So, you know, in last session, Senator Bart Davis actually made his 21 rules of public service, and he read them on the floor. And that, I think, serves as a good guide. You know, we can disagree on issues, but don't be disagreeable. So those sorts of rules, I think, are a good place to start and take down the noise a little bit and reinsert some civility to be able to work on issues.
Do you see that from your point of view?
I think civility is a huge commodity, and your reputation always precedes you. I think you need honesty. I think you need integrity. We do have, people get confused. I talk to people all the time. They see you wearing the name tag, and they say, oh, you must be hanging around in Congress. Well, they get confused. They think the building, you know, behind there on the Capitol is Congress. Well, it's not. So they don't understand that we actually do have a process that's a lot better and a lot more civil than you see in Washington, D.C., and it's something to be treasured. It's something to not only be treasured but protected. When they built the wings on the Capitol building, they fundamentally altered the way in which the building and the people in the building operate. You used to see folks sitting around on the floor of the House and Senate, and they'd talk to one another and they'd interact. Now they all have offices. Some people don't even know where their colleagues' offices are, and they can't find them half the day. And it's a real concern. So it's up to us, especially if those of us who've been around a while, to remember that and remind folks of what that collegiality is like and why it's so important, and how it doesn't take much to make us more like Congress, and we have to stop that at all costs.
Is it hard to get a Republican and a Democrat in the same room when you're talking a particular issue on?
Oh, not at all. I mean, there are a lot of things that Republicans and Democrats agree on, and we love those things. We talk we talk about free markets, for example, and liberals assume naturally that they won't agree with us. And I say, well, you don't like corporate welfare, do you? Well, no, I don't. Well, neither do I. So we were able to talk about corporate welfare. You don't like people being thrown in prison for no reason at all for extended periods of time? No, I don't. Well, neither do I. And and Monica and I talk about that all the time. There really are areas where we agree, and it's not about Republican or Democrat, liberal or conservative. It's about good, honest, solid public policies that improve the lives of the people living in the state.
You look, a good example of that is the personal property tax discussion this last session. Where we dealt with the House Revenue and Taxation Committee on an almost daily basis. The person that made the motion to send that bill out to the floor was not a Republican, it was a Democrat. I mean, there's a lot of camaraderie there and a lot of interplay between the elected officials. They have great relationships. We try to encourage that, as a matter of fact. That's a big deal for us, and we want to be able to go to anybody in that legislature and have their ear, and also have them be respected when they speak on our behalf.
I have to say one more thing about Dan and the collegiality in the legislature. I remember a number of years ago, I don't remember what the issue was. It was in the late 90s, and Dan was in a knockdown, drag-out fight with, maybe it was the hospitals. I just don't remember now. And it was pretty heated. And they left the committee room arm in arm, friends shaking hands and talking about the issue and laughing and talking about the next issue they were going to have to talk about. And in that particular issue, they were going to have to engage and be buddies. Yeah. So, I mean, this is the nature of the Idaho legislature, where people are allies one day and enemies the next, and sometimes they're neutral observers. I mean, it's a wonderful process. It truly is understated how good that process is.
Well, in Idaho, I think we have that really nice collaborative spirit going on. We did that with federal issues, roadless plan, for instance, or the Owyhees, and I think we are seeing a little bit of that here within our state government. So I want to thank you all for coming in and joining with us for this Idaho Reports special edition. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Aaron.
And that's going to do it for us. Make sure you watch us on Fridays on Idaho Reports.